Hi everyone. So we'll continue memorizing from the book of Hebrews. So we memorized Hebrews chapter 3 verse 2 yesterday. So in Hebrews chapter 3 verse 1 to 6 we are comparing Moses with Jesus. Moses a servant, Christ a son is the heading of the chapter. So today we are memorizing Hebrews chapter 3 verse 3. I will read that first. Yet Jesus has been counted worthy of as much more glory than Moses, as the builder of a house has more honor than the house. Yet Jesus has been counted worthy of as much more glory than Moses, as the builder of a house has more honor than the house. So I'll read all three together so we'll have a context. Hebrews chapter 3 verse 1 to 3. Moses a servant, Christ a son. Therefore, holy brethren who share in a heavenly call, consider Jesus, the apostle and high priest of our confession. He was faithful to him who appointed him, just as Moses also was faithful in God's house. Yet Jesus has been counted worthy of as much more glory than Moses, as the builder of a house has more honor than the house. So yesterday we meditated on verse 2. We compared the ministry of Jesus and Moses. So we saw that God entrusted his people or his chosen people or the Israelite people to Moses, and he was very faithful in his call. And the Israelite people also held Moses in a very high esteem. They consider him their liberator, their founder, their lawgiver, and the foremost prophet. So they held him in a very high position, and Moses was very faithful in that call. God gave him a very singular call. That call was very unique. God entrusted his people to Moses. So yesterday we saw that God entrusted Moses his house, right? Moses was faithful in God's house. So Israelite people are called or referred as God's house, and in the New Testament time the church is referred as God's house. So the Israelite people are entrusted to Moses, and Moses was very faithful in that call. That's a very singular call, but it is a very difficult call, and it's a unique position that God had given Moses, and anyone who tried to be equal with him, God rejected them. We saw that in Numbers chapter 12. I'll just read that. Numbers chapter 12 verse 1 onwards. We see here Aaron and Miriam speak against Moses. We saw that many people rebelled against Moses, right? But God punished all of them. So here we see Aaron and Miriam speak against Moses. Moses' own brother and sister, they spoke against him. I'll read that first. Miriam and Aaron spoke against Moses because of the Cushite woman whom he had married, for he had married a Cushite woman, and they said, "Has the Lord indeed spoken only through Moses? Has he not spoken through us also?" And the Lord heard it. Now the man Moses was very meek, more than all men that were on the face of the earth. And suddenly the Lord said to Moses and to Aaron and Miriam, "Come out, you three, to the tent of the meeting." And the three of them came out. And the Lord came down in a pillar of cloud and stood at the door of the tent and called Aaron and Miriam. And they both came forward. And he said, "Hear my words. If there is a prophet among you, I, the Lord, make myself known to him in a vision. I speak with him in a dream. Not so with my servant Moses. He is entrusted with all my house. With him I speak mouth to mouth, clearly and not in dark speech, and he beholds the form of the Lord. Why then were you not afraid to speak against my servant Moses?" And the anger of the Lord was kindled against them, and he departed. And when the cloud removed from over the tent, behold, Miriam was leprous, as white as snow. And Aaron turned towards Miriam, and behold, she was leprous. And Aaron said to Moses, "O my Lord, do not punish us, because we have done foolishly and have sinned. Let her not to be as one dead, of whom the flesh is half consumed when he comes out of his mother's womb." And Moses cried to the Lord, "Heal her, O God, I beg you." But the Lord said to Moses, "If her father had but spit in her face, should she not be shamed 7 days? Let her be shut up outside the camp 7 days, and after that she may be brought in again." So Miriam was shut up outside the camp 7 days, and the people did not set out on march till Miriam was brought in again. After that, the people set out from Hazeroth and encamped in the wilderness of Paran. See here, we saw that Aaron and Miriam spoke against Moses and God punished them. He is telling here clearly, I entrusted with him my entire house. So that was a very high call that Moses received from God, and he was very faithful in that call, right? So he was 100% faithful in that call. Say yesterday we meditated, right? Same way Jesus also was faithful in his call. So here, I'll read that again. He was faithful to him who appointed him, just as Moses also was faithful in God's house. Yet, Jesus has been counted worthy of as much more glory than Moses, as the builder of a house has more honor than the house. Here, he is using the simile of a house and comparing that with Jesus, right? Jesus, as the owner of the house or as the builder of the house, he has more honor than the house, right? So, he is the builder. God is the builder. He is the builder of every house, right? So God is the builder of everything. He is our creator. So he is more honorable, right? He has more honor than the house. So he has more honor than Moses. So he is using the simile of a house and proving that Jesus is superior to Moses. So he is using a very subtle language. He is carefully proving the superiority of Jesus. So here he is saying, as the builder of the house, yet Jesus has been counted worthy of as much more glory than Moses, as the builder of a house has more honor than the house. So same thing we read in Colossians. I'll just read that. Colossians chapter 1, 15 onwards. The supremacy of Christ. He is the image of the invisible God, the firstborn of all creation. For in him all things were created, in heaven and on earth, visible and invisible, whether thrones or dominions or principalities or authorities, all things were created through him and for him. He is before all things, and in him all things hold together. He is the head of the body, the church. He is the beginning, the firstborn from the dead, that in everything he might be preeminent. For in him all the fullness of God was pleased to dwell, and through him to reconcile to himself all things, whether on earth or in heaven, making peace by the blood of his cross. So, supremacy of Christ is very beautifully explained in Colossians chapter 15, verse 15 onwards. Colossians chapter 1, verse 15 to 20. Right? So we can meditate on this. So using the simile of a building, the author is proving the superiority of Jesus to Moses. Right? So I'll read that again and we'll conclude today's meditation. Hebrews chapter 3 verse 3. Yet Jesus has been counted worthy of as much more glory than Moses, as the builder of a house has more honor than the house. Thank you. God bless you all.